All right, yes. I'll call this meeting of the Village Board of Trustees to order. We all please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, thank you all very much. So the first order of business tonight is to recognize our newly appointed 2026 Village EMS members from the Fire Department, the Ambulance, and Ocean Rescue. So why don't we start with the Fire Department? And we have Chief Polis Walker, First Assistant Chief Richard Fowler, and Second Assistant Chief Kenneth Lockhart. And we got Graham even here. And Shane, come on, no, it's all good, all good. You can all come in. So I will ask the clerk to administer the oath of office. Please.
Everyone knows the drill, but you'll raise your right hand and you'll repeat after me. On behalf of the state of New York, the county of Suffolk, and the village of Southampton, I state your name. Do solemnly swear. That you will support the Constitution of the United States. And the Constitution of the state of New York. And you will faithfully discharge the duties. And state whatever your duty is. According to the best of my ability. All right, there you go. Congratulations.
Excellent.
Just meet me over in my office. We'll have to do the other.
Yeah, Kenny's not official yet.
He's not recognized.
Congratulations. Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Graham, you look sharp. All right. So here we will get a couple. Wait, we gotta get a couple of shots, please. All right, and look at Nancy. Okay.
Great, thank you.
Excellent, thank you.
Are we going to do this again?
Don't worry, I'm aside here. Yeah, we can do that. So let me just, I got to look at the list.
Yeah, my son here also, yes.
Okay, so at this time, I'll call forward the Southampton Village Volunteer Ambulance. We have Chief Christopher Epley, First Assistant Chief Matthew Zukowski, Second Assistant Chief Colby Gill, Treasurer Donald Mahoney Jr., and Secretary Daniel Berry. And the clerk will administer the oath of office.
So you'll raise your right hand, repeat after me. On behalf of the state of New York, the county of Suffolk, and the village of Southampton, I state your name.
Colby Gill.
Do solemnly swear.
Do solemnly swear.
Support the Constitution of the United States.
Support the Constitution of the United States.
The Constitution of the state of New York.
The Constitution of the State of New York.
You will faithfully discharge the duties
Faithfully discharge the duties
of state your
to
according to the best of your ability.
according to the best of my ability.
Excellent. Congratulations. And then just stand by for a photo.
We have one other thing before we let them go. It's actually Chief Epley's birthday today, so I have a cupcake.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday. Sweater crew and the suit crew.
Thank you. Okay.
Have a good night. Take care.
All right. Well, listen, I'm going to see you tomorrow.
Hey, what's going on?
Sorry? Yeah. So now we'll call forward the Southampton Village Ocean Rescue. Chief Alex King, First Assistant Chief Kyle Cranston, Second Assistant Chief Vinnie McGann, Captain Luke Connor, Captain Olivia Zachman, Captain Sarah Topping, Lieutenant Bruce Liebman, Lieutenant Dylan Henderson, Lieutenant Jim Emack, Lieutenant Billy Malone, Auxiliary Lieutenant Elise Bennett, Auxiliary Lieutenant Lauren Matson, Secretary Wendy Neisberg, Treasurer Michael Neisberg, Executive Advisor Miles Brucciolari, Executive Advisor Midi Abadessa, and Ex-Chief Advisor Nick Palumbo. That's it. We got a big group here. So I will ask the clerk to administer the oath of office.
All right, everyone. So just raise your right hand, everyone, and repeat after me. On behalf of the state of New York, county of Suffolk, and the village of Southampton, I state your name. Do solemnly swear. To support the Constitution of the United States. And the Constitution of the state of New York. And will faithfully discharge the duties. State the title of what your duties are. According to the best of your ability. Congratulations. Congratulations. And just stand by while we have trustees and
Oh, guys, you're still doing that cold water plunge?
Congratulations. Thank you very much for doing it.
I got to see you on Monday, too. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Congratulations. Hey, congratulations.
I'll get in here with the tall guys.
Congratulations and thanks.
All right.
You can get in the back. You can get in the back. Go ahead.
Okay. No, fine. Okay.
So can we do these guys at Christmas next
year? Yeah.
And no cupcakes.
Well, some of us need greens. And then we'll get blue and white from it.
Hey, how are you? You all right? Sorry.
You good?
Yep.
Okay. Okay, and just so people know, Trustee Stevenson let me know earlier that he had a family matter come up and that he was not going to be able to join us this evening, so it will just be the four of us. But we have a quorum, so we can continue with our business. We'll let the hallway clear out a little bit, maybe.
Yeah, Scott.
Close the door, I think, yeah.
That's better. Thanks.
Okay. All right. At this point, I will turn to our village administrator for public comment. Did
We actually have none tonight.
no letters? Okay.
Respondents.
Anyone from the public wish to speak? Mayor Epley.
Mark Epley, 158 Harvest Lane. First of all, I want to congratulate you guys for an incredible 2025. A lot of things got accomplished, and battling back and forth, but the reality is that I respect and I appreciate the job that you're doing because, first of all, it's a volunteer job. It's a volunteer full-time plus job, and thank you. And thank you for recognizing the fire department, ambulance, and ocean rescue. Again, those are volunteer full-time jobs that this is why Southampton is such a great community, is because we have so many wonderful people that all want to step up and volunteer and make this place a better place. So thank you to you guys and all the volunteers. So secondly,
Thank you.
I know
Thank
we,
you.
thanks, yeah.
Thanks. Thank you, Mark.
Secondly, I know that we've had discussions in reference to a reassessment of the entire village. What I would caution you on is that you may end up impacting the people that are older, retired, fixed incomes, smaller homes, because their homes around them all sold, the property values went through the roof, and they never made any improvements. So before you go and hire someone, I would recommend that you take the town rolls, like West Hampton Beach took the town assessments and stuff, and do a comparison and look at some of the streets that have people that have lived there for long periods of time. I did it probably 10, 12 years ago, and I realized that, and I did like 40% of the village. And I realized that the people that actually would see the increases at that time were the property owners who had been here for long periods of time, had not done any improvements to their homes, that the properties around them all sold and larger homes were built. And so I would, if you decide to step, that would be my first step, is just to pull those rolls and look at them and then make a decision on that. So that's my experience that I ran into a while ago. So, but again, I go back to thank you guys for volunteering. Thank you for stepping up. Thank you for what you're doing for the village. Hard job, unappreciated by some, very much appreciated by myself and my family. So 2026 is going to be a fantastic year. So thank you guys.
Thank you, Mark, very much. Anyone else on Mr. No, yeah, let's call him up, Mr. Rung.
David Rung, Pleasant Lane. In the Southampton Village's current fiscal year, the village's $250,000 tax increase was entirely paid by residents who made 2024 improvements to their properties. Soon, village residents who improve their properties in 2025 will receive a letter from the village assessor's office stating the increase in their assessed values. In 2024, 700 Meadow Lane made substantial improvements to their properties, but the village tax assessor arbitrarily decided not to increase the assessed value. I know last March, this group made a big deal out of the fact that 700 Meadow Lane's assessed value would go up because of that improvement. Well, it did not happen. Nothing. 700 Meadow Lane, which sold for $112,500,000 in 2024, is already drastically underassessed. All residents who received increased assessed values or will receive them in 26 or in prior years should file grievances and demand to be treated like 700 Meadow Lane. Since we now know that the assessor has discretion in the amount of costs that he adds to your renovations for the assessed value, and as a matter of transparency and respect for residents, I believe a standard operating procedure should be the inclusion of the computation of every assessed value increase with the letters that are sent out to the residents. This is just a matter of transparency and respect. When beneficial treatment is provided to the wealthy, either through deliberate malfeasance or incompetence, full-time residents are forced to pay a disproportionate share of the tax burden. Questions need to be asked. Why do other residents have to pay $250,000 on their improvements, but 700 Meadow Lane pays nothing? Another question. Who reviews the tax assessor's computations and judgments? Another question. What do the village auditors say about the internal controls applied to the assessor's work? Again, I repeat that in order to have transparency and respect, the letters that tell people about their increased assessed values need to be seen by all. They should be on the village website And the reason for that is any change in assessed value impacts every resident property owner in this village. And therefore, we all have a right to understand what is the tax assessor doing, what is he being consistent in his discretions, what amounts is he considering and not considering. We all have a right to that because every one of these things impacts all of us. Now, don't force us to go through the FOIL process. Just do it and show that you actually care about others, have concerns for transparency and respect. Thank you.
Thank you. Who would else like to speak? Ma'am?
Hi, everyone. Happy New Year. Ellen Herman, 94 Halsey Street. I'm here on the Historic District. I was here a year ago speaking for myself and, 60 or so residents of Henry, Halsey, Armand, Cooper, and Moses. So we're still troubled. It seems like the topic is still open between who's going to decide, the ARB or the village board, on whether or not there's a historic district. We were further troubled that we saw it in the Southampton press, that the FOIL document is largely redacted, so we can't really tell which houses. We understand it's in process, but we understand also we should have access to that information. So just to kind of refresh everyone's dates, on February 13th, I was here representing myself and like 60 other neighbors, taxpayers. On April 1st, I met with the mayor, Bob Price, Don King. We were given verbal assurances at that time that this really, if the majority of people didn't want it, it wasn't moving forward. So in June, when you were conducting your re-election campaign, we chatted about that when you came into my house. So we're troubled, the 60 or so, that it seems to still be a topic. We're also apart from the extensive redactions, we just don't understand why it's a secret. I understand maybe they're still doing their work, but they've had over a year to do their work. So we just don't understand why it's not more transparent. We've also heard comments that by placing the decision with the trustees versus the ARB, you might lose, I may be misinterpreting, but this is what I understood, we might lose the CLG status, the certified local government status. I actually spoke with a very helpful fellow, Daniel McKay, the Deputy Commissioner for Historic Preservation for the state of New York. He contradicted that. He said that you don't really lose your I'm not a CLG expert. He's hardly. He said you wouldn't lose it. All you really have to do once you're a CLG is that you file the reports and uphold the laws. And he also explained to me that the size of the CLG, if you expand the district, that doesn't necessarily give you access to more funding. You know what I mean? You could possibly get more funding than maybe not New York City, but that's the largest CLG in New York State. But he said, just because you're the largest doesn't give you greater access to funding. So again, just kind of pointing that out. We also reached out we have calls into Sherry Freer, the chief of the National Register and National Historic Landmarks Program. She has responsibility for New York State. So we just kind of want to understand the process. We just don't get, the 60 of us or so, why the village is still pursuing this. There's a financial burden, there's property restrictions, there's, some incompatibility with the existing development, and there's a lack of transparency and resident involvement. We understand, based on what was in the press, that affected homeowners are just going to get a letter, and then there's public comment, and there's no involvement, with the current homeowners who have already objected to this. So we believe, and this is input from my fellow 60, that this expansion I'll just read it, would represent a significant seizure of the rights of the property owners by a governmental agency and would impose a substantial and selective financial burden on tax-paying residents. By selective, we mean that the village or the ARB would be really perversely advantaging people who already built the biggest houses on the smallest lots. Now they have a more valuable property because they're frozen and the smaller homes are frozen also from development. So it's really punishing the people who held out and maybe protected nature, and it seems a little unfair to reward the people who have these giant overbuilt houses and punish the people who have the smaller houses. So we believe that the process has been a little opaque and a little, potentially punitive, and that elected officials, all of you, have failed, and Roy, have failed to respond to their constituents' serious concerns. All of us will continue to encourage all impacted residents to exercise any and all available remedies should this come to pass. So we just want to reiterate our opposition to this proposed expansion and, to make what's available in the foil, Scott, available. There's like a lot of houses that are numbered in the foil document that was noted in the Southampton Press today.
I'd be happy to address it anytime you'd like. Because the lack of clarity or the lack of accuracy
Yes.
was very concerning to me.
Yeah, I don't want to get into a back and forth
Yeah,
here this
no,
evening.
no, no.
Yeah.
So we'll wait to see it, but
Yeah.
I just wanted to reiterate, and one of my other neighbors couldn't make it. They emailed me, they called me, whatever. But we just want to reiterate that the concerns of the 60 and growing list, we're polling people last February in the, in the height of a snowstorm. We can poll
Yeah.
exactly. We can poll them further, but I just don't believe that they'll be in favor of this. So, like John Bennett said that time, listen to your constituents.
Yeah.
So that's
No,
it.
No, thank you, Ellen. I appreciate it. But I would point out that actually the third resolution this
Yes,
evening
I
is a
know.
notice of public
Yes,
hearing
I
to
saw that.
change the law.
I hope so.
Yeah, so that it can be changed to, again, the Board of Trustees making
Great.
these designations.
Perfect.
Okay, all right.
Good.
Thank you, Ellen.
I think one of my colleagues wants to, one of my neighbors wants to chat.
Sure.
Yeah, there she is.
Hi, I'm Jamie Lesberg. I'm Ellen's neighbor at 88 Halsey. I guess my question about the historic expansion is really, and what is the purpose of it? Why? I look through the ordinance that was created in 1986. It says it was created to protect, enhance, perpetuate landmarks and historic districts that are necessary to promote the economic, cultural, educational, and general welfare of the public. And I was especially affected by the word economic, because from what I hear, this expansion, if it's approved, will certainly affect my and my neighbors' economic welfare. And I should qualify that by saying those of us who haven't sold out, Mr. Epley, who said earlier, who have been here for, I've been here for 40 plus years, and I haven't, expanded and built a McMansion on my home. Not to say McMansion, because we do have a very aggressive ARB who, just last year, they on Halsey, they stopped a flat-roofed house from being built. It's into a triangular structure. It was a major change to the design, and I've seen them literally point by point design homes that are brought for them. The people come back 3 times, and I've watched them, 6 inches off this cantilever. We have a very strong ARB, and I'm very happy about that, but this feels like an overreach. I looked at the first draft of the report that talks about mine, Ellen's, and the Price's houses as examples of Dutch colonial revival. Yes, they are. They're mediocre, I would say, examples. There is nothing particularly outstanding about them. I've never seen anyone slow their car to stop and look at our houses. It's just we happened to be 3 in a row, so it was a great picture snap for the draft for the report. In the most recent, and in fact, Ellen's was changed into, when she renovated her house, she made the windows symmetrical. None of us have these light flanked entryways that they say is typical of this colonial revival. And then in the most recent draft report that was released this week, right before the completely redacted conclusion, it says that the village of Southampton remains a premier vacation, second home destination. It talks about the leisure activity and the real estate persists as the forces driving the local economy. And then it says, due to an increase in the cost of living, fewer working class families remain in the area, and unaffordability continues to challenge those that do so. I just want to go on record that this expansion of the historic district will ensure that that challenge continues. And the implications are that only rich people need apply to live here. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
So,
Would anyone else like to speak? Mr. Deasing.
Good evening. My name is Jay Deasing, and I'm a resident of the village on Old Town Crossing. Like Mr. Epley, I want to start by thanking board members for their service to our village. As an observer and an occasional participant in village affairs for more than 30 years, I understand how being a trustee or mayor is really a full-time job with minimal pay, tremendous responsibility, and lots of stress. As our year-round population decreases, fewer and fewer residents want to climb the mountain of an election for a 2-year position filled with headaches and insults. For these reasons and several others, I ask that the board consider holding a referendum at this June election to expand the terms of office from 2 to 4 years. As a community, we can then have a respectful and open dialogue about the pros and cons, and residents can make the decision. Can you imagine not seeing election signs throughout the village every spring? Wouldn't it be nice to get a break every other year? We could save $50,000 in hard dollar costs every other year related to part-time workers, voting machines, overtime, and other annual election costs. In addition, village employees will spend less time on absentee ballots, campaign reporting, and other tasks, and more time on continuing to improve our village. And you, the trustees, can spend less time working on getting reelected and more time solving problems. And I think new trustees might actually have time to learn the ropes before having to run again for reelection. It might actually encourage more residents to continue participating. I can't imagine anyone stepping up at this point and saying, boy, for a 2-year term, I'm going to go through this nightmare. And lastly, I think maybe the biggest benefit is it might change all of our perspectives. Because right now, an election is over, new people come in, and within 60 to 90 days, we're starting to think about the next election. And I think what we really need to do is learn how to work together for the good of the village and not just make headlines for an upcoming election. And for all of you, I think when you have the knowledge that you're going to be working together for a minimum of a 2-year and probably a 4-year period, I think you will think of things a little bit differently. And maybe we in the village will also think of things a little bit differently. We'll stop worrying about small little issues that might make headlines and start really focusing on the real problems we have in the village. So again, I appreciate all that you've done. I recognize that there are some drawbacks. It would take longer to change the members on the board, but I don't think 2 years is all that long. So I really think this would be a win-win for the village. And I know this has been discussed many times over the years, but I think by putting this in the hands of the voters, we get a fair and transparent way to decide. So thank you again.
Thank you, Jay. I would just add that the Planning Commission is actually actively looking at this. I think as a result of the referendum for the county legislative positions that in November that passed, changing those terms from 2 to 4 years. So I do know that they're looking at this, and we will be addressing it after they come forward with the report. But thank you, Jay. Anyone else like to speak?
Anyone online?
Oh, is it? Yeah, Sage, sorry. Is there anyone online? No, okay. All right, well then we will move to suggested resolutions. And I'll ask Mr. Zenanti to start with the warrant.
Okay, number 1. Resolve the claims for the warrant dated January 8th, 2026, totaling $696,344.68, warrant number A16, general, and $555,510.57, warrant number H9, capital, are audited and approved. I'll make the motion.
I'll second. All in favor?
Aye.
I'm sorry, one quick conversation on that. There was an item in there, I think, Len, of about $400,000 to a contracting company. But I understand that maybe some of that was then also going to be reimbursed for the repaving of Hampton Road.
I think the entire amount has been given to us, and we're spending their money.
Got it. Okay. I just
Okay.
wanted,
Yeah,
it's a big item, and I just wanted.
$400,000,
Yeah,
you're right.
okay.
Yep.
Thank you very much for that clarification. So, aye for me.
Yeah. Okay, so
Okay.
we voted on that. All right, next resolution, sorry.
Number 2, resolve the reading of the minutes for the December 11th, 2025 Board of Trustee meeting is dispensed, accepted as filed by the village clerk, hereby ratified and approved, and I'll make that motion.
I'll second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Number 3, whereas the Board of, this is for you in particular, Ms. Herman.
Ellen.
Whereas the Board of Trustees of the Village of Southampton has determined that this proposed local law is considered a Type 2 action under 6 NYC-RR Part 617.5 C 38 of the New York State Environmental Quality Review Act, SECRA, and that no further review under New York Environmental Conservation Law, Article 8, is necessary. Now, therefore, be it hereby resolved, the village board hereby directs that a public hearing shall be held as a hybrid in-person Zoom meeting on February 12th, 2026 at 6 p.m. at the village meeting room at the Southampton Village Hall located at 23 Main Street, Southampton, New York, 11968, to hear any and all persons either for or against a proposed local law entitled A Local Law Amending Chapter 65-3 Designation of Landmarks in Historic Districts, to transfer the authority to designate historic districts from the Board of Architectural Review and Historic Preservation to the Village Board of Trustees, and be it resolved that the planning director is hereby authorized and directed to refer the proposed changes to this chapter, Historic and Landmark Preservation, to the New York State Historic Preservation Office, SHPO, for review under the Certified Local Government Standards, and be it further resolved that the village clerk is hereby authorized and directed to publish and post the following notice of public hearing. Notice of public hearing. Please take notice that a public hearing shall be held as a hybrid in-Zoom meeting on February 12th, 2026 at 6 p.m. in the village meeting room at the Southampton Village Hall located at 23 Main Street, New York, 11968, Southampton, New York, to hear any and all persons either for or against a proposed local law entitled A Local Law Amending Chapter 65-3 Designation of Landmarks in Historic Districts, to transfer the authority to designate historic districts from the Board of Architectural Review and Historic Preservation to the Village Board of Trustees. I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
And could I just let you know, I'm glad you contacted the someone at SHPO, it sounds like, on this. This would make us conform with respect to historic districts with the town of Southampton, the village of Sag Harbor, and the village of East Hampton. All of those municipalities around us that are CLGs have that authority for district creation or enlargement with their town or village boards. Thank you for letting me make that comment.
Also, I'd like to point out that the copies of the law are available through the village clerk's office.
Thank you very much. Yes, thank you. I missed that, but thank you, Lynn.
So it's important.
It is.
Yeah, no, of course. All right, so we have a motion, a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, whereas the Department of Public Works has historically retained independent contractors to assist the village with snow removal during significant snowfalls, and whereas for planning purposes, the Superintendent of Public Works desires to enter into contracts with the independent contractors in advance to ensure that the village has sufficient help when needed, and whereas the town of Southampton has previously approved non-prevailing wage rental rates for the town highway department for the rental of equipment for sanding and snow removal, and whereas the village has reviewed same and determined they are appropriate and reasonable, now therefore be it resolved, the Board of Trustees approves the usage of the non-prevailing wage rental rates adopted by the town of Southampton for 2025 for use by the Village Department of Public Works when contracting for rental equipment for sanding and snow removal for the 2026-2027 season, and be it further resolved, the mayor is authorized to sign contracts with said independent contractors for snow removal for the 2026-2027 season upon the recommendation of the Superintendent of Public Works and the approval as to form of the village attorney. I will make the motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay.
Resolved, the Board of Trustees approves the sale of tax liens on all unpaid property taxes for the fiscal year 2025-2026. Will be held at 1 p.m. on Tuesday, March 10, 2026, in the Boardroom, Village Hall, 23 Main Street, Southampton, New York. Notice to this effect will be published in the official paper. the New York State Local Government Efficiency LGE Grant Program and may be submitted as supporting documentation with that application.
Sorry, you skipped the page.
I skipped the page.
yeah.
I was wondering, that sounded really funny.
So
It's for the Southern
Page
Cross.
I
three
said,
now.
yeah,
You
okay.
finished two.
Yeah, notice to this effect will be published in the official paper, the Southampton Press. The village intends to purchase all eligible outstanding tax liens at said sale. I make a motion.
Second, all in
All in
favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Whereas the village board has determined that it is necessary and appropriate to purchase new beach chairs and umbrellas for Cooper's Beach due to the existing equipment becoming worn and no longer usable. And whereas additional revenues have been realized from Cooper's Beach sales and rentals, providing sufficient funds to amend the adopted budget with no impact on the general fund's balance. Now therefore, be it resolved, the village board hereby authorizes the budget amendments as follows. Increase revenue, Cooper's sales and rentals, A.2017 by $22,000 even. Increase expenditure, Cooper's Beach equipment, A.7141.2 by $22,000. I'll make the motion.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, it's a little lengthy. Whereas the town of Southampton had proposed a regional marine operations shared services project involving the acquisition of a marine barge to be jointly utilized by participating municipalities for navigation safety, marine infrastructure work, and emergency response activities. And whereas the proposed project is intended to improve the efficiency, reliability, and cost effectiveness of marine operations by reducing duplicative capital expenditures, limiting reliance on contracted services, and strengthening intermunicipal cooperation. And whereas the proposed shared services approach would allow participating municipalities to access a regional marine asset without the need for each municipality to independently purchase, operate, and maintain a marine barge. And whereas the town of Southampton intends to submit an application for funding through the New York State Department of State Local Government Efficiency LGE Grant Program to support the acquisitions of the marine barge and the establishment of a formal shared services framework among participating entities. And whereas the Village of Southampton recognizes the regional value of this initiative and the operational and fiscal benefits that may result from participation in the project, now therefore be it resolved, the Board of Trustees of the Village of Southampton hereby expresses its support for the Regional Marine Operations Shared Services Project led by the town of Southampton, and be it further resolved, the Village of Southampton affirms its intent to participate in the project subject to final terms and conditions through the development and execution of an intermunicipal agreement or other appropriate shared services arrangement, and be it further resolved that the Village of Southampton authorizes its designated officials to cooperate with the town of Southampton and other participating municipalities in project planning, coordination, and implementation efforts related to the Shared Marine Operations Initiative. And be it further resolved that the mayor is hereby authorized, subject to the approval of the village attorney, to execute an intermunicipal sharing agreement with the town and any other participating governments for the shared barge, as well as a letter of support for the town of Southampton's application to the New York State Local Government Efficiency Grant Program. And be it further resolved that this resolution is adopted in support of the town of Southampton's application to the New York State Local Government Efficiency Grant Program and may be submitted as supporting documentation with that application. So I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
And just a discussion. So this is something that Councilman Pell came to me in the fall for sharing actually a couple pieces of equipment. This was something that he was very a huge proponent of. And again, I've spoken to the fire department, and the fire department does have one boat. But should that boat be down or a mass casualty, for example, in Shinnecock Bay, need an additional vessel, we would be able to call on this vessel at that time to be used in that event. So it really only means that when we use the boat, we would obviously be responsible for filling it up with a full tank of gas, just like you do a rental car before you return it. But I know that there are multiple other entities here that want to share in this. West Hampton and as far away as Shelter Island will also be joining in this to have this shared asset. And again, the state is providing the lion's share of the cost for this purchase because of the fact that it will be shared amongst multiple municipalities. I don't know. Eileen, did you have anything you wanted to say further about this? I knew you were on the phone with the town attorneys.
On the shared agreement?
Yeah.
Yes, they're working with each of the municipalities that are sharing this. It's West Hampton, Sag Harbor, the town trustees, Shelter Island, us. And they're gonna, once they get everybody's comments on the agreement, they'll finalize it.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, Bill Pell recognized that probably we would not be using it too
Correct.
frequently, but
Right.
he said that it makes for a stronger application to the state if more municipalities are involved in it.
Right.
And the fire department does think that there could be a use for it in certain circumstances. So that's why I thought it was good to go forward with this. And just for full disclosure, the other piece of equipment that they're looking to acquire this way is a vac truck, which can be used to, again, clean out drainage situations. We have one vac truck in the village. Sometimes it can break down, and in the case of a large rain, we might want to operate two vac trucks simultaneously. And so that is the other piece of equipment that I think we would like to ask that we enter into an agreement with the town at the next meeting. They just did not have all the paperwork finished for that at this time. What they had completed at this time is this boat that we're talking about now. Any other comments?
In my view, shared services is truly a best practice for government, allowing for complementary services and resources to be shared between governments. And precisely because we may not need it all the time, it's a great example of a shared service. So I think this is a very smart thing for us to be doing with the town and the other entities.
I would just comment, I've heard from a lot of my boat owning friends that the two happiest days for a boat owner are the day they buy the boat and the day they sell the boat. But I just want to make sure there's not sort of a hidden risk that suddenly in a year or 5 years from now, we're getting a sort of ongoing bill even without use for $50,000 or $100,000 to help maintain
there's no
this.
cost to us except,
For use.
we're obviously responsible for maintaining it while we're using it. Any damage we occur, we're trying to hammer out some of the provisions.
Well,
about
as
And a full tank of gas.
As Deputy Mayor
That's true,
Len
actually,
Zananti
yeah.
said, I think this is a best practice and a win-win, so I'm in support of it.
All right, Trustees Simeoni, do you have any comments?
No,
Okay,
you said
all right,
it
so
all.
we have a motion, a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you.
Whereas, in October 2022, following a request for proposals, the village accepted a proposal from Coopers Beach LLC and its sole member, John E. Betts, and thereafter entered into an agreement with Coopers Beach LLC to operate the concession at Coopers Beach for the 2023, 2024, and 2025 beach seasons. And whereas the agreement gave the village the sole right to extend the contract for one additional year, and whereas the village is satisfied with the operation of the concession under Mr. Betts' tenure thus far and further, Coopers Beach LLC and Mr. Betts have complied with the terms of the agreement to the village's satisfaction. Now therefore be it resolved, the Board of Trustees authorizes the mayor, subject to the approval of the village attorney, to sign an agreement extending the contract for the Coopers Beach concession for one additional season, i.e. the 2026 beach season. I'll make the motion.
I'll second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, well, this was pretty good. So comments from board members, and we will.
Do we want to do this?
Oh, I'm sorry. I apologize. There was another, I have to ask for a motion for a walk-on that came to us late today. And actually, our attorney Eileen Powers can explain it, but the village unfortunately is being sued in an Article 78 regarding the planning board. And so this is to retain counsel to be able to litigate that,
Defend us,
that case. So I'm going to turn it over to you, Eileen, if you wouldn't mind.
This is for the, you do need a vote to add it on, but let me read what it is first. Resolved that the Village of Southampton Board of Trustees authorizes and retains Kimberly Judd Esquire effective January 2nd, 2026, to defend the Village of Southampton and the Planning Board of the Village of Southampton in connection with the lawsuit initiated by 91 Fowler LLC regarding the Fowler subdivision application before the Planning Board. The mayor is authorized to execute a retainer with Kimberly Judd Esquire with an hourly rate of $325, subject to the approval of the village attorney. So Kim is the.
So wait, I'll make a motion, hopefully you have a
to add it.
second, and then we can discuss it. So
Okay.
I'll make the motion, is there a second?
Second.
Okay, discussion.
And so, just pointing out that Kim is the attorney for the planning board. She's very familiar with the application. So it made sense, I think, in this particular case to
But
retain
you
her.
are
And I am
defending the
I
Board
am-
of Trustees because
Correct.
we were also named in the lawsuit.
Right.
But you will be representing us and she will be representing the planning board.
Right, we're being, right, because that's exactly right, so.
All right.
And this is an Article 78
It's
proceeding?
in Article 78. There's
What-
also a declaratory judgment portion to it, too. There's a plenary action and
What
next to it.
action or decision are they challenging?
So,
'Cause it's
with
that-
respect to the planning board,
Yep.
they are challenging the secret finding statement with respect to it. That was a decision that the planning board adopted on October 6th. So they have challenged that. They sought a temporary restraining order. Kim and I went to court on Monday morning. That was denied. But now there's the continued application for the preliminary injunction and the actual Article 78 itself. In connection with that, they've also challenged, interestingly, a decision this board made making a change to the
Secra.
right, the type 1, type 2. We removed, as you recall, wetland permits from the type 1 list. Those wetland permits, a lot of them are residential. We weren't treating them as type 1. For a long time, we had talked about removing it from the list. And then when you'll recall that we were working on the workforce housing legislation, and we were going to add the live-work special exception and the workforce housing special exception to the type 2 list for the purposes of the workforce housing legislation. We decided it was a good time to also remove that from the type 1 list. They see a conspiracy, like somehow
They
it
think
was
this was
related
done
to the
specifically
Fowler
for them.
application.
Which is
I never heard anybody talk about it in relation to it. It's not relevant to it, but, still, that's where we're at, so.
So anyway, so
So Kim would be defending the planning board, I'll defend the village board, and we'll work together on it. And then, obviously, the applicant is named also, so.
all right, so we have a motion and a second. So on this walk-on resolution, I'm calling for the ayes.
Aye.
Anyone
Aye.
opposed? Okay, all right, good. So that's done. Now we can go back. I'm sorry.
Did you vote on the actual,
Well, yes, okay. Well, we'll vote also on again, this, to make sure it's
Approving it.
done really clearly. so
Well,
there's
one
no
is to
question.
add it, and then
Yes,
one
yes.
is to vote on
So
it.
I will make a motion for this resolution, walk-on resolution, to be adopted by the village board. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, any opposed? Fine, so that's official. Okay, you'll inform Ms. Judd?
oh, for sure, yes,
Okay.
thank you.
All right, so now we'll go to comments from board members, and we'll start with trustee Coburn.
Thank you, Mayor.
Yeah.
I just want to take the opportunity to correct an error or omission in the newsletter that was mailed to residents last week. Somehow the final draft, which included several minor edits, omitted a paragraph. And that paragraph read, in a 2022 report, this is regarding the sewer, in the sewer district. In a 2022 report, our consultants provided an initial cost estimate of $55 million. This estimate is being updated and will likely increase due to inflation, as well as certain adjustments to technology and overall scope as plans are revised. So I just wanted to put that on the record. And there were also some facts and figures, unfortunately, that weren't included. I just wanted to put them out there. There is a map in the newsletter that shows the proposed district. Again, there may be some minor adjustments, but nothing major certainly has been discussed by the task force. As of the report of 2022, the proposed district included 254 properties in total. 75% of those are commercial properties. It's basically the downtown area with some properties up Hampton Road and some properties on Windmill Lane and North Sea Road as well. And for what it's worth, the estimated current statutory wastewater flow from those properties is 154,000 gallons. And in order to accommodate future growth, the task force and the village right now is considering a 200,000 gallon facility. So I just wanted to put those out there so it's part of that whole report. With respect to historic district, I definitely don't want to get into reports and redactions, but I wanted to take a step back and just remind us all of some important sort of process and context for considering historic districts, including what the village itself has done and not done in the past. So as someone mentioned earlier tonight, the district was created in 1986. That was the result of 3 public information sessions and 4 public hearings. The law actually was going to not pass in 1986 not even because of pushback or concerns by residents in the district for the most part. It was that even across the village and people living outside the district, there were concerns about the essential nature of this, which is a sort of taking limitation of rights. That impasse was overcome by the inclusion of wording that limited the purview of the ARB to what could be seen from the public right-of-way. That's how that impasse was overcome back in 1986, and the law was subsequently passed. That provision of the limitation was removed almost 3 years ago today. And there were 2 changes made. I'll say actually in the intervening 37 years, we didn't do much ongoing education or engagement to explain and celebrate the historic district. That's something that is encouraged, the sort of communication and integration of what a historic district means in the life of a community. I should maybe frame all of this by saying I'm a big proponent of historic preservation, and I've spent the last almost 20 years of my life doing this. Historic repurposing and adaptive reuse and preservation of historic homes. And I love the historic nature of the village, and I appreciate both the work done by the ARB and the fact that we have an historic district. But for 37 years, we did not do a great job as a village of making this a living, breathing thing and with a shared understanding of what was happening. As I mentioned, in January of 2023, there was a change, and then in April of 2023, there was another major change, and unfortunately, those changes were made without much general public discussion and participation. So we've not done a great job of engaging and interacting with the larger community on why historic districts are important. The authorities that are looked to in this area are 2, the Secretary of the Interior and the National Trust for Historic Preservation. National Trust publishes a 10-point list on steps to take if you are considering creating or enlarging a historic district. And I'm going to go through them. The first is consider the whole package. Whatever the goal for your community, keep in mind that historic district status is simply one tool to protect community character and should be used in combination with other planning and revitalization strategies. 2, recognize the district's associative value and economic advantages. Keeping buildings, sites, and objects around for future generations to appreciate is one of the deepest justifications for historic preservation. Number 3, make a compelling case. Clearly articulate the benefits of creating a local historic district to government officials and to the public. More importantly, help property owners fully understand what designation will mean for them, since their property use will in some ways be restricted. Robust presentations and discussions up front can minimize controversy later. Number 4, this to me is a really important one, form a broad-based task force. Bring together community members who are hard workers, civic-minded, supportive, and willing to learn. Get the local governing body to pass a resolution recognizing the task force. Let that group become the primary driver for creating the local district, and may even position some of its members as candidates for appointment to the ARB. Number 5, launch a public awareness campaign. I'm going to just go through the headlines now. Number 6, ally with a local nonprofit, preservation organization, or historical society. Number 7, identify and gather information on your community's historic resources. That's essentially what we're doing now through this survey by Preservation Studios. So we sort of jumped ahead to number 7. Number 8, set the district boundary lines. Number 9, go through the design review process. And number 10, keep educating even after historic designation occurs. The reason I wanted to mention this is just, we look at this as one thing. But to be successful, both in creation and ongoing, there's a living, breathing aspect to historic districts, and there's an obligation for the village to make that happen, to help people understand what those benefits and limitations are. The data will say that creation of historic districts tends to have, over time, an additive effect to values. That's on average. That's what the data says. One of the reasons for that is that a lot of historic districts are created basically as a first step in massive sort of urban revitalization when blight has occurred. So there are 5 historic districts in Detroit right now that didn't exist 10 years ago. And they were done in order to catalyze reinvestment in some of the neighborhoods that had been abandoned. There's a big caveat to it, which is that the data will say that historic districts reduce value in places where land values are high and the opportunity for development or redevelopment is limited, which is a place like Southampton. So I think we need to recognize that there is that risk, and it should just be part of the understanding, in my opinion, as we go through this process. I'm not saying I'm against expanding the historic district, but I wanted to just put some of that context on the table. And then, the last quick comment, with much of the work on the Gin Lane Green Buffer complete, I'd like to request, maybe Scott, you could do this, that we just reach out to the partner organization, which is the Lake Agawam Conservancy, and have either them or their coordinating engineer confirm in writing to the village that the work done to date conforms with the approvals and permits that have been received. I think that would be good housekeeping on behalf of the residents of the village. And with that, I will say goodnight.
Thank you, Trustee Coburn. We'll go to Trustee Simeoni.
Yeah, well, thank you, Trustee Coburn. I really appreciate your presentation about the historic district. I think it's very important that that it's be done properly and that the public and the officials involved really understand the implications and what is really involved in creating a historic district and whether we should go forward with it. Other than that, I think it's just heartwarming to see tonight's safety services being inducted into the village and their services, and their services are very appreciated, and I thought it was very heartwarming. That's all I have to say for tonight.
Thank you, Trustee Simeoni. And Trustee Zananti.
Thank you, Mayor. So with respect to traffic, we're keeping our eye on the ball with the events on County Road 39. Back in the middle of December on the 19th, the mayor and I and the chief met with the town highway superintendent as well as two of the town council members, Iacilli and Neely. And the goal is to keep this going so that traffic is mitigated through the spring and into the summer so that we don't have the residential street clogs that we've had. So we will be meeting again in later in this month in January. The light sequencing was not done correctly. It was corrected. We learned that at the meeting on December 19th. Traffic is flowing better, but there are additional tweaks that the town highway superintendent wants to make and has requested that from the county. County's in charge of traffic lights. County's in charge of the whole route because it's County Road 39. I also would like to congratulate and send my best wishes to the newly appointed officers for the ambulance, fire, and ocean rescue group. I think 2025 was a significant year in my eyes. I think we've accomplished a lot. The sewer, although we can't talk about it, is definitely making strides to becoming a reality. Traffic mitigation is at the top of the list. Our cell tower has finally received the building permit, which will improve our first responder communications. And we have actively started, proactively started the process of publicizing the generous grants, and Sheila's in the audience, the generous grant program for replacing the septic systems for our residential neighborhoods, which is probably the single most important thing we can be doing to clean our water bodies up. And also look forward to meeting with the Veteran Hall Committee, which is meeting on the 14th to begin planning for the July 4th parade. And with that, I will say good night.
Thank you, Trustee Zananti. So we obviously tore through Christmas and New Year's since our last meeting was in the first part of December. And I would just like to say that during that period we had a significant amount of snow for the month of December, at least of our later years here. And I want to say and commend the Department of Public Works for their snow removal efforts. They did an outstanding, excellent job, sometimes working for 16 hours without a break. I finally had the the superintendent, Steve Phillips, called me and asked me if I could let the guys go home and get some sleep. And I said, yes, they can go home and get some sleep. But they did an excellent job. I think the town was very impressed. Actually, people pointed out to me that the village did a little bit better than the town overall on our snow removal. And in fact, the head of DPW in Sag Harbor contacted our head of DPW and said, what is Southampton Village's secret to snow removal? Because we did a much better job, he thought, than his own village of Sag Harbor did. And so anyway, I'm very pleased, again, with the efforts of all our DPW staff, because there were a large number of them that came out to work on that snow removal. And leading up to Christmas, there were a lot of things going on in the village, but I just thought I would like to, again, highlight a few, because these were, things that going on in the village that were important. We went down with Trustee Stevenson and Trustee Zananti to Veterans Hall, where we handed over all the toys that were brought in for Toys for Tots to a member of the West Hampton Air Base. That was very heartwarming. And then I spent an hour on the 17th of December working with Molly Bishop at Heart of the Hamptons to, again, put together some Christmas dinners for underserved, underprivileged families who were lined up through the entire Presbyterian church parking lot out into South Main Street. I mean, it was amazing the number of cars that came. And once I got started there, I couldn't leave. And it was amazing. I mean, we had people coming and asking for diapers for their children, cat food for their cats. I mean, it really is amazing the need that is out there. And so, again, I thought it was great to be able to help a little bit in that effort leading up to the holidays. And then on the 21st, Rabbi Konnikov had me join him on Main Street in front of the Chamber of Commerce to light the menorah on the last day there of Hanukkah. And the police chief, in her wisdom, did deploy our officers out onto that street. It was a week after the terrible tragedy in Bondi, Australia. And she felt necessary to make sure that we had people there to make sure that all those attending that menorah lighting were safe and secure. And I stand by her decision to have those officers out there. I know there was some criticism, which I think was completely unwarranted, for what they were doing to protect people in this village. And I will always protect people in Southampton Village. Then on January 3rd, I got to go and provide 2 Eagle Scouts, newly elevated Eagle Scouts, at our local troop number 58 with proclamations. One was Ben Halsey, the other one was Paul Delzato, and they both did a great job. Ben built a small lending library at the train station where people can go and exchange books, and Paul Delzato actually built a pergola at the hospital for people that were undergoing cancer treatment, so they had a place to sit in a little bit of shade. And so I thought those were very worthy Eagle Scout merits, and I was happy to participate and provide them with proclamations on behalf of the village. On January 5th, just on Monday, I did attend the inauguration of all the new town elected officials. I congratulated Councilman Neely and the town trustees, all 5 of them. One of them is sitting right here in the room, Joe McLaughlin. So I want to congratulate you again, Joe, on being re-inaugurated, and enjoyed that very much. And on the 19th of this month, there will be an MLK breakfast, a Martin Luther King breakfast, at Blue Mar, starting at 9 a.m. For any of those of you that are interested in attending, I will be providing welcoming remarks at that. Just to give you a few more updates, Village Hall, the renovation of Village Hall, I should say, is going to be again before the Architectural Review Board on January 26th, and I certainly invite any member of the public that would like be interested in attending that to see what the proposal will be. They've made some revisions to their first initial presentation at the ARB. So that's coming up on the 26th. And then a couple of things that are going to come also later this month, and we've put a notice on the website already, but I just want to make sure the public is aware of this. PSEG is undergoing a major line infrastructure from Deerfield and Watermill to the Southampton substation on North Sea Road and West Prospect Street, which unfortunately will cause some disruption. It's going to come down North Main Street, go west on Willow by DPW, and then south on North Sea Road under the train trestle to meet the substation there on the corner of West Prospect. They will be doing the work on North Sea Road at night between 7 p.m. and 7 a.m. to try and be not so disruptive to the traffic coming into the village. But I just want people to be aware that's going to start on, I believe, January 20th. They want to come in and start working on that. So that will be disruptive to people that have to travel on those roads. And the other thing that's going to happen shortly thereafter, and I think we have to have another discussion, Scott, on this, is we've been working since I became mayor with the MTA. Dealing with the Metropolitan Transportation is not the easiest thing, but we finally have convinced the MTA to come in and repaint the 2 train trestles that are in the village, one over North Sea Road and one on North Main Street. Unfortunately, the one on North Main Street has some lead that has to be abated, but they're going to come in and do that work, and then there's going to be some repainting. In both cases, with PSEG and the MTA, I have told them that if the work is not completed by Memorial Day, they are not allowed to work until after Labor Day. So they both know that those are the rules that the village is laying down. So we're hopeful that the MTA will at least get one of the bridges done prior to Memorial Day. And if they can't get both, they'll come back in the fall to do the other bridge. But I can't remember the last time the MTA painted the train trestles in this village. And if you see the one on North Main Street, it really it looks like it's in bad shape. Not structurally, but just the way it appears. So again, we worked very hard to finally get them to agree to that. And now they're coming at the same time that PSEG is coming. It's quite amazing. But we are working around to figure out how the MTA can have access at one while work's being done at the other, and vice versa. But those are all things I want to make sure the public was aware of, because it will affect them, especially going under that trestle on North Sea Road, because of the painting and also the huge new cable that they're laying in the middle of that road. They have to go under the bridge because they're not allowed to drill under the railroad tracks. For some reason, it's safer to go under a bridge than under the railroad track directly. So that's why they have to do it at that location. But with that, I think that's it. I wish everyone a Happy New Year, and we'll see you later this month on the 20th is the next meeting? 20th. So thank you all very much. Have a good night.
Motion to